Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Chesterton's Jest, where we keep a critical eye on faith and culture, especially within the Catholic Church today. In an age where even church teachings seem to be shifting, we're here to explore and question the ideas and changes that challenge timeless truths. Through thought-provoking, often humorous perspectives, we aim to bring clarity to conversations others might avoid, holding fast to orthodoxy with the courage to question what feels off track. If you would like to join us as we dig deeper into the faith with reverence, wit, and a touch of Chestertonian insight, you can support this channel by gently pressing the like, share, and subscribe buttons in that order, and we thank you for your support. And now, without further ado, in an age obsessed with novelty, the Charismatic Renewal claims to be a movement of the Holy Spirit, prompting us to examine whether this wind truly carries the breath of God or just the gusts of modernist enthusiasm. The Spirit or the Spectacle, a Chestertonian critique of the Charismatic Renewal. Chapter 1. The Wind That Blows Every Which Way. It was Chesterton himself who once quipped that the church is like a ship, tossed about by every wave yet refusing to sink. If we are to extend this metaphor, the so-called charismatic renewal might be likened to a gusty gale that some claim is propelling the ship towards sanctity, while others fear it is blowing it into uncharted, perilous waters. For indeed, if the Spirit moves as the wind, then the charismatic renewal appears to have mistaken an atmospheric disturbance for the breath of God. Let us examine its history, claims, and consequences, all while maintaining the good humour of Chesterton, who would have laughed heartily and a little nervously at the sight of people rolling on the floor in the name of the Holy Ghost. Chapter 2. The History. Protestant Roots in Catholic Soil. The Charismatic Renewal began in earnest in the 1960s, a decade notorious for its penchant for enthusiasm unmoored from tradition. This movement did not arise from the womb of the Church herself, but was midwifed by Protestant Pentecostalism, an emotional and ecstatic phenomenon birthed in the early 20th century among American Protestants. Its defining features included speaking in tongues, healing, prophecy, and other gifts of the Spirit, which to the untrained eye resembled more the chaotic energy of a carnival than the sober majesty of the Mass. This Pentecostal fervor infiltrated Catholic circles after a group of Catholic academics attended a Protestant worship service and returned proclaiming themselves baptized in the Spirit. This renewal quickly spread, with prayer groups popping up like mushrooms after a rainstorm, their members waving their arms and shouting as if God were hard of hearing. The Church, in her prudence, neither condemned nor fully embraced this phenomenon, choosing instead to discern the spirits. 1 John 4:1. Decades later, one wonders if that discernment has been sufficiently thorough. Chapter 3. Is it Catholic? The question of identity. A cursory glance at the fruits of the Charismatic Renewal might suggest it is Catholic. Many of its adherents remain devoted to the Eucharist, Marian devotion, and obedience to the magisterium. However, a deeper look reveals a troubling theological imbalance. The movement places excessive emphasis on the extraordinary gifts of the Spirit, charisms, while neglecting the ordinary means of grace, the sacraments. It often prioritizes subjective experiences over objective truths, creating a spirituality that is more emotional than theological. Catholicism, properly understood, is incarnational. It is rooted in the flesh and blood of Christ, made present in the Eucharist and in the tangible historical reality of the Church. The Charismatic Renewal, however, flirts with a Gnostic tendency, emphasizing spiritual experiences that are invisible, unverifiable, and deeply personal. This subjective turn is more Protestant than Catholic, more American than universal, and more modern than traditional. Chapter 4. The Real Spirit, Sobriety and Sanctity. To be sure, the Holy Spirit is not confined to human expectations or traditions, but neither is he a performer in a travelling circus, descending on command to provide emotional highs. The true Spirit of God is one of order, peace, and humility. He is found not in chaotic displays, but in the quiet transformation of hearts through grace. The saints, who were true charismatics in the sense that they radiated the gifts of the Spirit, did so without fanfare or spectacle. Saint Teresa of Avila levitated, yes, but she was embarrassed by it. Saint John Vianney read souls, but only to bring sinners back to the confessional. Their gifts served the Church. They did not seek the applause of man. The Charismatic Renewal, by contrast, often seems to revel in the extraordinary for its own sake. Its gatherings are marked by a kind of spiritual exhibitionism, where speaking in tongues becomes a badge of holiness, and falling to the floor is seen as a sign of divine favour. Christ himself warned against such displays, saying, "When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen." Matthew 6:6. The Spirit does not need a spotlight. He works in the still, small voice. Chapter 5. The Dangers, Emotionalism and Division. Perhaps the most significant danger of the charismatic renewal is its potential to sow division within the Church. By creating a two-tiered spirituality, those who have been baptized in the Spirit and those who have not, it undermines the unity of the faithful. The movement's emphasis on emotional experiences can also lead to disillusionment, as the inevitable ebb of spiritual fervor is mistaken for a loss of grace. Moreover, the charismatic renewal's tendency toward emotionalism can obscure the true nature of Christian joy, which is not a fleeting feeling, but a deep and abiding confidence in God's love. Chesterton himself wrote, "Joy, which was the small publicity of the pagan, is the gigantic secret of the Christian." The joy of the gospel is found not in ecstatic displays, but in the quiet, persistent living out of the faith. Chapter 6. The Modernist Storm and a New Conclusion. In this age of confusion, the charismatic renewal finds itself courted by a church hierarchy increasingly enamoured with modernism. Under Pope Francis, the Church has seen a push toward ecumenism that risks diluting Catholic identity. The charismatic renewal's Protestant origins make it an easy vehicle for this agenda, allowing elements of emotionalism and subjective spirituality to infiltrate the Church under the guise of renewal. Yet modernism, like the charismatic renewal, often mistakes novelty for authenticity. It prioritizes inclusivity over truth, experience over doctrine, and human enthusiasm over divine revelation. This spirit of the age, cloaked in the language of the Holy Spirit, seeks to reshape the Church into an institution more palatable to the world. But as Chesterton warned, the Church exists to save the world, not to imitate it. True renewal will not come from abandoning tradition or embracing every passing enthusiasm. It will come from a return to the enduring truths of the faith, the sacraments, the magisterium, and the quiet, transformative power of grace. The Spirit does not contradict himself, and he will not lead the Church away from her foundations. The winds of modernism may blow fiercely, but the ship of the Church must hold fast to its course, guided not by the shifting currents of popular movements, but by the steady hand of Christ himself. Let us seek the true Spirit, not in the whirlwind of modernist innovations, but in the whisper of sacred tradition, not in the frenzy of charismatic spectacle, but in the faith handed down through the ages. Only then will the Church find true renewal and remain the beacon of truth in a world adrift. thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and share our passion for defending the true faith with a touch of humour, be sure to head over to chestertonsjest.com and check out our collection of bold, pro-Catholic graphic tees designed to spark conversation and inspire conviction. Whether you're looking to wear your faith proudly or share a laugh, we've got something for everyone. Visit us today and join the movement, because in times like these, it's more important than ever to stand firm in our beliefs with style and wit. As Chesterton once said, "A madman is not someone who has lost his reason. A madman is someone who has lost everything except his reason." So, let's keep our reason and our faith intact together. Thanks for listening. God bless you, and may the good Lord be praised.